What's up, guys? This is Johnny. Hopefully everyone's doing well. If you haven't caught my earlier live stream, I say check that out. It's on the live playlist as well as the video playlist. So you can check that out. In that live stream earlier today, we covered Tokyo. We covered our parlay that we hit with Norman Jr. We talked about Araneta. We're moving forward, turning that page. So if you're tuning into this live now, I want to focus on the fights that are happening this weekend. You could read the title and the image that I use for this. Jahai Tucker. I think there's money for us to make there. Also, depending on how this flows, we will get into the UFC card in Azerbaijan because a lot of you guys have been asking me a lot. We won money last week. And we'll leave it open from here. Wherever you are tuning in, all I ask is for you to like this video. And let's get this thing going. Tito Express. Let's do our check-ins real quick. I'm going to pull up. So, guys, I already have, I don't know what, wherever you guys are at, how your odds work. I have 2 parlays working right now. And we'll go, one of them is the long parlay. I went over it yesterday on live stream number 1, but I didn't post it. So I'm going to post it today, and we're going to cover that base again today. And I'll put it in our group. So this one totals my odds. Also, to remind everybody, I live in Australia. The betting app I use forces us to make a 3-way bet on the money line, meaning that they factor in the draw in terms of who's the favorite and who's the underdog. So some of you guys ask, how do you get such good odds, or why are your odds such a way? This is why. On this parlay I'm about to give you, these are just money line odds, okay? My book has it at 976. So $100 gets you your money back plus $876. I always use equivalents of 100 to keep things simple. So almost 9-1. These are all money line bets. And these fights start Saturday morning in Australia at 8 a.m., which is Friday evening, afternoon in America. A lot of my subscribers, 55% of you people tuning into my channel are in the U.S., and then we have an eclectic bunch. People from the Philippines, the UK. Obviously, I live in Australia. Wherever you are tuning in, I say welcome, and we'll get into this. So as it gets warmed up, and I'm sure people are watching Game 6 as well. Game 6 of the NBA Finals are on. It's in the second quarter, so I have that on as well. But I need to get this second live stream in, so I apologize about doing it during the NBA Finals. Kamakov, what's your prediction? What's up, Lloyd Hernandez? We'll start there. Good morning, mate. Good morning to you. We'll start there. Give me a second. Let me pull that up. Make sure that we're on the same page. Yeah, so this is a fight that you've asked me once before, and all week people have been asking me about this David Stevens versus Peter Kamakov fight. And I have it pulled up right here. Let's break it down real quick. I just want to bring up the odds too real quick. All right, these odds haven't shifted at all from the opening week. What's up, GOAT? Everyone's checking in now. I'm answering questions as we speak, and I'm answering Lloyd's question. He wants to ask about the David Stevens versus Kamakov fight. To be honest, this fight has been brought to my attention all week, and I wasn't focusing on it because we had the Tokyo card. That's how I have to run my business. I was working on the Tokyo card. So now I've looked at the David Stevens fight. He's fighting Kamakov. Guys, the odds are almost 50-50. $1.76, $2.10. So it's really going to come down to, if you're one of these gamblers and you're looking through, your fights and you're looking at odds, what to put in on a parlay, this is a dangerous fight just to pick based on odds. So with this, in the next minute or so, I want to give you some information if you're still weary on who to side. David Stevens, 14-2. He's been stopped once. He's a 25-year-old Orthodox American. This fight is at super middle. He's fought Beck the Bully. He's coming off a split decision loss to Beck the Bully. So that in itself, sharing the ring with Bektemir, we just saw Bektemir, what he did to Darius Fulgham. We won money on that. But so that's no slouch. Having a loss on your resume to Beck the Bully isn't the end of the world. The problem is a few fights before that, he got stopped against Joshawn James. So when you get stopped against Joshawn James, that's what people remember. A lot of people all week are saying Edwards is chinny because he got stopped against Joshawn James, which confuses me because he went the distance with Bekdamir and didn't get stopped. So if that's your reasoning, you then better sell me on Kamakov. So David Stevens is 25 years old. His opponent, Kamakov, older. And this is what I wanted to do. He's in his 30s. He's 13-0 with 6 knockouts. Doesn't have one-punch knockout power. Moving up a weight class. Fights at middle. This fight's going down at super middle. He is coming off a knockout victory. You know, he won a split over Von Hernandez. You look at his resume, Esseher de la Cruz. Like this isn't a fight between two guys on the trajectory to become world champions. So it's one of the reasons why I didn't do an analysis and prediction video on it. But I do like the Thunder Studios fight cards, the ones that are in Long Beach. And we're on quite a winning streak on those fight cards. A couple weeks ago, when the young fella Magic headlined, we won all those fights. And then a couple weeks prior, I think Emiliano Vargas or one of the Vargas brothers won by knockout. We won on that. So historically, we do well on these Thunder Studio Long Beach cards. I'm leaning with David Stevens, and my reasoning is youth, the weight class, and I do like the odds at $1.71. Am I telling you to be confident in this fight? No. Could Kamakov win? Yes. I don't even know if I put this fight on my long parlay, but hopefully that answers your question, Lloyd Hernandez. Moving forward, GOAT, Eric Tudor, KJ. Yeah, we won money on the Eric Tudor card, Kevin Johnson. So GOAT. Yeah, and I think it was about a month ago, somebody brought the fact up about those Long Beach cards. And, you know, it's a good opportunity for a lot of up-and-comers to fight on that might not get a lot of recognition. This is where we saw that American heavyweight prospect. There's somebody asked me last week on a live stream about the modern landscape of the heavyweight division in America. And I said, you know, other than, you know, you guys know who I like, Richard Torres, Kiki, there's a guy who just, you know, an Olympian heavyweight, he's 2-0, and I watched him twice on these Long Beach cards. He's just walking through his opponents. He looks like an interesting prospect, but that's where I saw him fight. Now, I'll get to the Galalia fight questions. I've covered that fight on my channel. If you want to go, I know, we got to make a star. If you want to go to my playlist section, guys, who keep asking me about Galalia fight, and I'll cover it, go to my fight prediction playlist. You'll see all the thumbnails. Stats don't lie. Stats don't lie. Stats don't lie. Those are my edited, produced, proper film equipment, breakdown analysis predictions. I have one for Galalia fight, and I have one for Jahai Tucker up on the channel right now. The last, we'll say, ever since Brian Norman Jr. knocked out Jin Sasaki, my focus has been on, in terms of my stress, because I have a lot of money on the fight, is the Galalia fight. So what I've been doing is, you know, I've already made my predictions. I'm taking Galalia fight. I'm kind of overthinking it. I've watched Francisco Rodriguez Jr., his performances. You know, he's only been stopped once. So LP, it's in the works. Just be patient with me, LP. I'm gonna do a Discord like everybody else. LP, to answer your question, and GOAT's on here, and, you know, I appreciate a lot of the loyalty because I'm recognizing a lot of you guys now. My goal isn't at this moment, regarding the question about Discord and Patreons, isn't to take money out of your pocket. It's to build a community. So I feel like, give me time on that. When I feel we're getting to a point where I'm proving my skills to you guys, and, you know, we're in the loyalty fan base, you know, our channel's growing. So I'm thinking about it. I'm just still thinking about how to navigate that before I sit here and ask the public for money. You know what I'm saying? Right now I'm happy with just the support on the channel. You guys liking this video, people who tip me, and, you know, continuously providing value for you guys. So it's coming. Just be patient on that. Hopefully I answered. So Francisco Rodriguez Jr.'s last fight that I can't get an explanation for, I can't find on the internet. Go to his box rec. He fought in Texas. He won a convincing decision but it got overturned to a no contest. Guys, when a fighter wins and it gets overturned to a no contest, historically, why is that? Now, I'm not here to stir up controversy, and I'm sure Francisco Rodriguez doesn't give a damn about that, but I just find it interesting. There's little things like that. It has nothing to do with my prediction. I'm taking Yafai based on his skills, where he's at in his career, his motor. The thing is, we know Rodriguez is tough as nails. He's only been stopped once. That was in 2012 to Chocolatito. A lot of people are putting a lot of weight on the fact that he took Ioka and he took Nakatani to the distance. But what people aren't mentioning, because we know Nakatani, knockout artist, Nakatani's a guy, 118-pounder. This fight's at 112. When Rodriguez fought Nakatani was at 115. And it wasn't like Nakatani was a static 115 guy. He was moving up. And the reason why I reference that, because the version that Rodriguez fought against Nakatani, yeah, it's showbiz. He thought he was going to win. Send Showbiz my prediction video. That guy's funny. He's a comic. I think boxing needs comics. But Francisco Rodriguez Jr. fought a Junto Nakatani at 115, took him the distance. And I'm watching a lot of, it's weird, guys. Let me give me a 1-minute rant about something. Over the last few weeks, in my due diligence, based on your requests, I've been watching more and more boxing content creators on YouTube. I've never done that. I don't do that. I stay focused on what I do. I watch old fights and I watch current fights, and then I make prediction videos based on that. Over the last few weeks, whenever there's a British fight, for instance, this Galifi versus Francisco Rodriguez matchup, all of the British content creators, a lot of them are picking Francisco Rodriguez Jr. to beat Galifi. Similar to America, when I'm watching some of their content creators, they were picking Sasaki to beat Brian Norman Jr. or Richardson Hitchens to lay an egg against Kambosos. And so it just has me think, I think it's part of maybe it's human nature, or like our nuanced consciousness to be a contrarian when, you have a guy coming from your home and you don't support him. My point is, you'll never find that at this channel. I have to come from a very neutral perspective, and I bring it up all the time. I will never pick a guy to win based on me being a fan of that guy. So back to Francisco Rodriguez Jr. He kind of builds through a fight. Yeah, we are overthinking it. We are overthinking it. But we are overthinking it. I think Galal handles him. He's like, thank you for saying that, Landslide. I think Galifi handles him easily. I don't see, because a lot of people were scorned with what happened with Resendez, another Mexican fighter, fighting Caleb Plant. I saw in the comments, there's a history of Mexican fighters upsetting the odds and disappointing the home crowd, and people all of a sudden are making comparisons over the last few fights. We've seen this. Has it happened? Of course it's happened, but it's boxing. I see Galifi handling Francisco Rodriguez. Yeah, and I see him, dude, he is really, really good, Galifi. He's really sharp, he's really clean, he's aggressive, he's mean in there. I mean, the money is, I could see him stopping him. I could see Galifi stopping him. Right now, my prediction's just on the money line, but that's how I see it. I just see his counter boxing, his quickness, his pace. He puts sort of this wall on you. He did it to Sonny, and he's gotten better the last few fights. And he only has 9 fights. Yeah, he won a gold medal. They went about their business in different ways. We know a lot of the Mexican fighters turn pro early. And it's not a thing in every country to represent your native land for the Olympics, but some countries it is. And so I don't like that being used as an argument. Just like I don't like when Loma was coming up, people would use the narrative he had a storied amateur career to kind of use that to say he was going to beat somebody. It's always, what have you done for me lately? How did Galal look in his last fight? How did Rodriguez look in his last fight? Galal, biggest step up. It doesn't mean much because Sonny, and this is what people were saying. Kiza, and I was just getting that. The detractors are going to say, Sonny didn't want to be there. Sonny quit. Bam took it out of Sonny, and by the time Galal got to Sonny, he was used goods, right? Just the same thing they said about Brian Norman Jr., right? You know, Derek Cuevas was a bum. Gio Santillan, you know, got luck. You know, when he beat Alex Roca, but Roca was the favorite. Santillan underdog beats Roca. Santillan was the favorite. Fights Norman, gets starched. Norman was the underdog when he won that fight. When Norman fought Cuevas, people were saying Cuevas was the bigger puncher. Never had been stopped. Norman stops him. Going into the Sasaki fight, you guys were arguing with me. People were arguing with me when I said that Brian had better hand speed and Brian had more pop. And they're like, he's not a knockout artist. I'm like, he's 27-0 with 20 knockouts. What are you guys seeing that I don't see? What are you guys not seeing with his counters? What are you not seeing with his lead hook? We were saying all of that before the Sasaki fight. So my point is, back to Galal, with any fighter on the way up, if they have a perfect record, if, you know, they're a new champion, whatever the case is, their detractors will find a narrative to loop around on why good fortune happened in their favor. Galal beat a broke Sonny. Sonny was washed. That's what they'll say. But Sonny fought good until he didn't fight good against Bam. And Sonny was a former world champion. And people were really high on Sonny. So, you know, Galal's just supposed to not stop him? You know what I mean? Granted, Sonny didn't want to be there. What's Galal supposed to do? Win a decision? And then what would the narrative be? He did what he was supposed to do. And I think he's going to do what he's supposed to do here. Based off of a lot of tread on the Rodriguez tires. He's lost a few decisions. He's only been stopped once. His last fight was an 8-rounder. This is at 112 pounds. Galal, you 5 fights with a mean streak. Rodriguez is no pushover. I think it's going to be super competitive. I think the later this fight goes, contrary to the experts, I think the later it goes, it favors Yafai. Because I hear some people saying Galal has to storm him early, and the longer he lets Francisco hang around, Francisco's going to get more dangerous. I disagree. I think Galal's timing, guys, one-punch knockout power isn't boxing, but stopping your opponents with knockouts isn't about power all the time. It's about timing. It's about understanding where to step out of range and come back in. It's about predictability. Galal Yafai does all of that at a really, really, really high level. Watch his tape, especially the last few fights. You know, early in his career, they're going to say, oh, when he went to Riyadh, he had a flat performance. It could have been a draw. That was a gift decision. But, I mean, isn't that the journey of all boxers? These guys aren't who they were the fight before. I don't even think Galal at 32 is a finished product. It's boxing. Once you step in, it's always... Yeah. So that's my reasoning. I'm open to the argument. I've heard him all week about Rodriguez Jr. So back to Landslide's comment saying that we're overthinking it. You know, I already have my money in. I've already uploaded. My receipts are already out there. So I guess I'm not overthinking it. I'm just leaving it open for banter. But you are right. Come the weekend, guys, we're always overthinking it. What do you guys think about Tucker and Truck? It seems like no one's really engaging with that fight, even online, on Instagram, reading in the comments. I thought that just having the Brooklyn versus Baltimore storyline, and then, you know, what happened on social media, where they are in their careers, I thought that was going to sell. And it's, you know, I think it's another perfect opportunity for either guy, Jahai Tucker or Truck, to have an electric performance. Okay, so Tito Express, both Americans. Jahai Tucker went pro, and Top Rank signed Tucker as a 17-year-old. He's 21 or 22 now. I'll get there, Pudgeons. He has one loss against Nick Flaz, and he fought Nick Flaz on his 20th birthday. Top Rank really hasn't given Jahai Tucker the easiest route. He's a orthodox fighter, does a lot of things unorthodox though in the ring. A lot of fun stuff, reflex stuff, drops his guard, angle changes. He's kind of like a rhythm guy. Doesn't have one-punch knockout power. Definitely could win rounds. More active, has more volume. With Simpson, he's a southpaw. He's gonna fight conventionally more with a higher guard. I like his body work. He's heavy on the front foot. He doesn't have a lot of volume. He kind of goes through his fights sometimes with a lull. I don't want to say he falls asleep sometimes during the fight, but he kind of disappears. But when he's on, when he's at his best, he's pushing his opponent in the corner up against the ropes. He's working the body, and he's leaning on you. And the question is, will he have the feet to do that against Tucker? Will he have the arsenal, and will he have the power to get Tucker's respect? That's going to be the narrative. I think a lock, one of my locks going into this weekend is, will the fight go to a Jahai Tucker by decision in the over? Yeah, I'm high on Nick Flaws, man. We just saw him fight recently. What a fun fighter. Excited to watch and rooting for Tucker. We'll see you at this camp. Yep, Jahai Tucker, Nick was a war. Both guys are tough. Don't see either guy getting stopped. Yeah, and Jahai's young, you know, and like he's had some tough fights, guys. People, maybe it's people love, if you don't have an O, it's kind of like they disregard you. But dude, and I don't think I remember an older, from the fan base, an older 25-year-old than Lorenzo Simpson. People talk about Truck Simpson like he's 50. He's 25. He's still figuring out where he sits in the pro game, because we've seen him fight up a division. We've seen him, you know, kind of flow back and forth between 160 and even 175, 178. I think he weighed in once. He fought a fight closer to 180. So it's kind of like he's still trying to figure that out. And Tucker's trying to figure out, you know, what his narrative as a fighter, who he is as well. But they're both still young. It's an interesting, I think it's an exciting top-ranked fight. We'll get to the UFC in a second. I'll let this simmer. 20 minutes in, we're floating between 30 and 40 on the live. I just ask you to like this video. This morning we peaked at about 90, which that's sweet, because, you know, it's definitely growing. Yep. Boxing fan, the longer you hang around my channel, the more you'll hear me cover. Every time Jermaine Ortiz fights, I cover him. Look at the guys Umar Zembekhov's opponent has lost against. Only lost to Berlanga, Benavidez, and Zerto. Umar. I'll do that right now. That must be a fight. That must be a fight that just came on the board, because I don't even remember getting that fight yesterday when I went to bed. Let me see. Umar. Okay, here you go. This fight's new on my Norman versus Teo. Hell no, it's not close. It's not close. And no disrespect to Teo. It's not close, because I'm gonna get to the. Let me answer go first, and then we can start that chat. BNJ versus Teo. Umar Zambeckov, he's $1.20 fighting Alexis Anguilla. Romer is a big underdog here, so he told me to look at Umar Zambeckov's opponent. Let's do that real quick. Yeah, GOAT, the odds are crazy. So Umar Zambeckov, 11-0, 8 knockouts, you know, ranked 25 in the world at light heavy. He's a southpaw. I like the light heavyweight southpaws. Knockout. Who's on his resume? Eric Robles, Sonny McEwen. So he's just slowly stepping up, which is fine. Especially he's 27, which, you know, for that division, each fight will be stepped up. He's fighting a guy, GOAT, good call, mate. Romer Alexis Anguilla, 31 pro fights. 28-3, 23 knockouts. A Colombian light heavyweight. You don't see those every day. A Colombian light heavyweight. Nice. 82% career knockout to win ratio. He lost a decision to Berlanga. What were those scores? Okay, it was a wide decision. So 92-98, 91-99. I didn't see that fight. Unless those are complete jokes, it looks like Berlanga won every round. He got stopped against Benavidez in the 10th. But that was the fight Benavidez missed weight, so no title was on the line. Interesting. 90-100. He was losing every round. All right, I think I have your question, GOAT. I think I can answer your question. And Zerto, UD. Okay, here's your GOAT. This is why he's a huge underdog. And this is why, granted, he's only been, you know, he's been stopped once against Benavidez. But look at his losses and look at his wins. All of his wins. He's a light heavyweight from Colombia. What does that tell you? Not a lot of light heavyweights to fight with if you're staying in Colombia. So not a lot of opportunities in your homeland to build a resume. So you have to go overseas. What's that mean? A lot of matchups that are probably going to be favorable for him. Okay, a lot of knockouts. Every time he stepped up, he loses a decision, losing every round. So without me doing my due diligence based off of your question, what that tells me, losing every round, when you lose, but when you win by knockout, he can't win rounds. He's one-dimensional. He has to set you up with that power. Orthodox versus southpaw, considering his opponent's going to be a southpaw. All he's going to have to do is circle away from that lead foot from that backhand. And I feel that those odds are based around his opponent, the favorites. And it sounds to me he's a Russian boxer coming with not a lot of pro fights. What's that tell us? Amateur pedigree. What's that tell us? Knows how to score points, knows how to win rounds. So I think those odds, Umar Zambeckov, are probably appropriate. Probably appropriate, considering how the Colombian loses his fights and who's he fighting regarding, the amateur pedigree, the Russian, the background winning. And, his 3 losses are complete washes. 190, 91, you know what I mean? So 99, 91, every single fight. So I think that's easy money, to be honest. And that's just the philosophy of knowing the sport. And also knowing Colombia, a light heavyweight in Colombia is insane, dude. If that would have said light heavyweight in Cuba, but Colombia. So yeah, the long parlay. Let's get to that. I will post this right after this live stream. Okay, here we go. I gave this. I went over this once. I haven't made any changes. I'll give you. I got 2 of them to give you now. You take what you want with this, guys. I'll post both of these. You don't have to trail me on any of this, by the way. I'm not selling you to listen to me. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. And if you listen, if you listen with the Brian Norman Jr. fight, you'd have won. Okay, here we go. But if you listen to me with Arenetto, you'd have lost. So come on now. What have you done for me lately? We're 1-0. We're coming off a victory. All right, long parlay. This one pays on my book $255. Is a 255 parlay an 11-leg parlay? Is that too risky to go heavy? You make that call. I put 100 on this, 255. I get my money back plus 155. We'll use those as the perimeters. These are my wheelhouse. You guys know me long enough. You know I always hit those. Here we go. Rubikova. These are money line. Rubikova, $1.06. Leonardo Ruiz, $1.06. Stephanie Silva, $1.22. Peter McGrill, $1.16. Zambeckov, Umar, I have, $1.20. Neba, $1.09. Vito Melnicki, $1.06. Callum Walsh, $1.09. And I stayed away, and you could add, if you want to up those odds, add in Jahai. Or add in Galal if you want. I have Jahai winning a decision. And I also have Galal Yafai beating Francisco Rodriguez on a separate ticket. I'll post everything. You guys will probably get 4 tickets because I have to post my UFC one too. Here's the second one. Now this one pays 11-1. So this one pays 11-1. These odds are juicier, but it's a longer parlay. So the only difference to that first one, guys. So if you copy that first one, I've added Conor Walker to $1.43. And I actually added the Jahai Tucker and David Stevens. So I like David Stevens in that fight. So I'm taking David Stevens on the money line. So the questionable fights, I have a parlay with those questionable fights. I think Conor Walker handles Liam really well. I know some people like Liam Taylor. I don't know. Not what I've seen lately. So I'm comfortable with that. The David Stevens fight could go either way. Yeah. Leonard Ruiz fight round 1 on his last fight. Yeah, but yeah, I know. What's the longest parlay you've ever hit? I hit a 22 legger. So on my channel 4 weeks ago, I hit the I posted a 15 legger in Australia. It paid 22 to 1. But the longest I've ever hit was, I think I told this story on a live, maybe I haven't. In 2015, during college football season, I hit a 22 legger, which paid me, I think, I put $1,400 on it and I won 23,000. And so, yeah. But here's why I wouldn't. And they were all money lines. Come college football, guys, I'm not going to do breakdown videos, but I'll tell you my system. Here's my methodology on college football. And it's insane that they let us do this in Australia, because my betting app allows max parlays 22. I know some betting apps don't even let you go past 12. But down here, this one lets me do 22 on one ticket. If you know anything about American college football, historically, the first 4, 5, 6 weeks of the season, a lot of these big market teams, think about, I'm an Ohio State fan. So the Buckeyes, Penn State, Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, there's a lot of games in this first part of the month that are non-conference games. Now, granted, with the modern landscape of the postseason now, they expanded it to, it used to just be 4. You lose one game and you're out. So that being said, it used to be easier to win money because a lot of teams' schedules were kind of just filled with fluffer matchups. My dad would call it, sisters of the poor matchups, meaning that Ohio State would play Youngstown State, 48-point favorites. You get them on $1.04. So you get them on $1.07. You get them on $1.06. So if you take 22 University of Texas versus the Sisters of the Poor, and you find 22 of those big conference college football programs playing against Division III, Division II, Division I AA schools, which you might be able to get a 4 to 1. You might be able to get a 5 to 1. So things like that. Come NCAA football. That's what I do. I'm waiting in line to sign up for 154 and watching that Norman knockout. Nice. Alexis is 41, and though he has been out of the ring for almost 17 months. What do you think is the most corrupted due to betting? Boxing. 100%. 100%. To answer your question, the most corrupted sport due to betting. Well, horse racing. Horse racing is pretty corrupt because I have clients who own horses. So I go a lot of horse races. So I know a little bit about the horse races. Do you think Brian Norman could beat Boots? Isn't that a hot topic, isn't it? It'd be a fun fight. Have you ever bet on Central Michigan? Probably, GOAT. Not that I can remember. Fellow Ohioan and LSU student, but leaning UT over the Bucks. Oh, Mar the Prince, how dare you? How dare you, Mar the Prince? I can't ever say that. That's the one team I don't bet on. And that's where my dad gave me the advice as a kid. Because in the 90s, before Maurice Clarett, we hadn't won a national championship in the 50s, since the Woody Hayes days. I think the 60s. But Mo Clarett, the Youngstown kid, I told the story on the first live stream. True freshman in Columbus, and we beat that 2002 Miami of Florida team on the goal line. The craziest, dude, YouTube this. In my opinion, the greatest play in college football history, hands down. Now, I'm going over the UFC in a second, Oscar. The greatest play in college football history, 2002 national championship. Ohio State is down by a touchdown with 2 minutes left. They're driving to tie the game. This Miami team had like Sean Taylor's playing free safety. Willis McGahee, I think, was running the ball. Frank Gore was in the backfield. The defense had all future NFL All-Pros. I think their quarterback might have been Ken Dorsey. And our quarterback was Craig Krenzel. Our running back was an 18-year-old Maurice Clarett. Our defense was stacked, though. And we're going in to tie the game with 2 minutes left. And Craig Krenzel throws an out route, and it gets picked. And Sean Taylor picks it off on like our goal line, and he's running to score 99 yards. Mo Clarett catches him on an angle, doesn't only catch him, strips the ball, and we get the ball back, and then we go down and tie the game and then win in overtime. Our first national title since the 60s. You got any prop parlays? Yeah, Will you be posting parlays for boxing? Yes, I'm posting Chivo today. After this live stream, I'm going to give you my parlays. But we'll do the UFC in a second. Somebody just asked a question. Let's keep it. I'll give boxing. Let's stick to boxing a couple more minutes if anyone wants to talk. Somebody said Stevens, or somebody asked me, oh, prop, GOAT. Was that you? Do I have any prop parlay? Yeah. I like Jahai Tucker. I like Jahai Tucker versus Truck Simpson. The fight to go the distance and Tucker to win on points. Yeah, Oban Elliott's a beast. I'm a big fan of the Welsh gangster. Prop parlay. Yeah, so if you... How do you deal with losses you were sure would hit? Just forget on the... Yeah. Well, Christian Vargas, because my strategy is based on film study, knowledge, research, I don't change the strategy unless it's like we're no longer betting on domestic fighters. When I said I'm no longer messing with domestic fighters, I mean putting anything over 1,000 on a 2-leg parlay. I'll still take domestic fights on a long parlay, sprinkle something on them. But like Christian Araneta screwed me on that, and then the fight last week as well, domestic level. So in terms of changing strategy, yes. How do I get over losses? Turn the page. Looking forward. Come on now. Keep that chin down. Roll with the punches. Bruce Lee, be like water. All that good stuff. It's all here in the mind. And UFC, boxing, we got knockdowns. To answer your question, I'm not getting those odds right now, Goat. Like I said, one of the downsides on my, I know. I'll show you. 1,000 is wild on a parlay. I know. I hit, dude. If you're referencing when I hit 22K in 2015 on that 22 leg, it wasn't like I took $1,000 out of my bank account though. At the time, I think I started that bet with $50. So week 1, I put a $50 bet on. I won 250. I keep the 250 in my account, and then I built the 250 up to 1,400, and then I took all 1,400, which was really only $50, and then I put it, and I won 22K. But what I learned since then is that that's only worked like once or twice. So whenever I take the 50 or $100 and build it up to an amount that I told you all the time that could pay a bill, if it gets to like 1,000, or if I could pay, if it could pay a bill, I'll deduct it out and then rebuild again. So those are kind of my systems. I'll never take 1,000 out of my bank account. I've never done that. I've never once deducted $1,000 out of my business account or savings account. So my strategies are I have a patient approach, and I build. I'll take I'll start with that's why I use $100 denominations. I'll start with 100. I'll build a ticket, and then I'll get the 100. When I get the 100 up to like 500, 800, I could get less riskier in terms of odds, but I could bet heavier. And so I win like a lot, like $7,000, $8,000. And when it's that, I'll deduct the whole thing back into my bank account, and I'll get another $100 out. That's my system. But the idea, and I think that keeps me from chasing losses. So in my head, it's just like a fighter. It's just like when you watch my breakdown videos, I always say, what have you done for me lately with fighters? That's my approach too in how I deal with adversity. Just trying to learn. No worries, Christian. Keep asking, man. You guys remember, by trade, I'm a coach. People pay me here to help them maintain, or achieve a certain level of health. So, it's probably why we all get along. I come at it from a coaching perspective. With the long parlays, I'll post those. We could talk UFC now. If there's MMA fans, no baseball bets. Baseball broke my heart, man. I was that was my best sport I played. So I barely watch baseball anymore. But I played at a high level. My era was Ken Griffey Jr., Frank Thomas, Jeff Bagwell. I'm a 90s kid. Yeah, baseball was my jam. Played my whole life. I don't bet on baseball. Like I said, these days, if I'm betting to bet, it's only boxing. If I'm betting for entertainment, I'll bet UFC. But betting to bet, meaning I put my free time into research and I put money on it, Fiziev is a live dog. All right, great question. Let's start there. Rafael Fiziev, striker, athleticism. Fiziev hasn't won a fight in a while. Ignacio Bohemondez, real long striker as well. Comes out of Chicago, but, South American descent. trains with Bilal Muhammad, really exciting young guy. With that matchup, though, the odds are nice. And it is tough to bet against Rafael Fiziev, considering even though he lost the 2 decisions to Gaethje, he injured his leg. I think that was against the Gamrot. So I think against Gamrot, in the fight, he injured his leg. 2 decision losses to Gaethje. Hasn't really gotten his hand raised in a few years. But Bahamondes is going to be there to get hit. He's tricky. It's a tough fight to bet on. Both guys, it's a tough fight to bet on. Peter McGraw points, Tucker points, Vito 1-5 knockout. Now we're talking. GOAT. My man comes out here with specificity. See, there's some straight up boxing minds in here, gambling minds. Specificity, talking about 1-6 knockout, money line, decision. What does that pay, GOAT? So yeah, to answer your question let's build a UFC parlay real quick then. I'm gonna pull out, just checking these odds because I've been looking at the odds all week, and this card's in Azerbaijan. I reference that because what we're gonna deal with these cards when they go to this part of the world or travel outside of North America, you're gonna get a lot of these local fighters. I like it, GOAT. I'd like it, GOAT. You're going to get a lot of matchups that the average MMA fan, hasn't heard of. Hamdi Al-Abdullah Wahab. We've seen him fight before. He's a good grappler. Muhammad Usman is Kamaru's brother. Pretty one-dimensional. I'm not going to bet on that fight. I don't like a lot of the fights on the undercard and the prelims on this card. So as I scroll through, I like Oban Elliott. He's a favorite. The Welsh gangster. I like how he goes about his business. He's very fun to watch. So if you want to add Oban Elliott, I don't mind that. Sadikov, Nicholas Mota, we brought him up earlier. He's a fun guy when he's fighting regional opponents. He's a knockout artist when he's fighting regional opponents. But every time he's stepped up, he's had mixed success in the UFC. He's going to get starched. So you could either take Sadikov by money line at 121, or you could bet the fight won't go the distance because Nicholas Mota fights trend that way. When he's a favorite, they don't go the distance. When he's an underdog, he gets stopped. Something to think about. Also, another 50-50 fight that I think there's value in. Tifik Musayev versus Miktabek Orobay. Orobai's coming off a fight of the year contender. He's coming off of a loss. That's a 50-50 fight. He's that really tall fighter. Looks very primal. He looks like if Genghis Khan had a son, it'd be Orobay. He's interested. Toxic, we down by 20 from Indiana. I know that game's on. I apologize. But Curtis Blades, another one. Kunaev. The thing with Curtis Blades, guys, when he loses, he gets knocked out. He's fighting a guy who's popped dirty for gear like 3 or 4 times. Who is going to come to stop him? Who's an underdog? I think, I've lost so much money betting on Curtis Blades, by the way. Yeah. I've lost a lot of money in the past historically. In my head, I'm like, all right, traditionally, we know in the octagon, you then smaller octagon at the apex. It favors the grappler versus striker matchup because the striker needs distance. So Curtis Blades, what's he going to do? He's going to smother his opponent, one of the best wrestlers, top 10 wrestler ever in the heavyweight division. You got to say that. Curtis Blades, super athletic, big. When he's on, he's dominant. His ground and pound is brutal. But the thing about Blades is mentally he thinks he's a striker. He thinks because his wrestling is so good that his stand-up is so good. So we see him get stopped. Flying knees, twice against Ngannou, fights that he could have. You got to question a guy like Blades' fight IQ. And now this stage of his career, the chin gets touched, he's going out. I don't bet on Curtis Blades. I stopped. He's the favorite. I think if you guys want an underdog to bet on boxing or MMA, I would think about taking his opponent, Kunaev. That's just me. And then Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. We could talk about this main event because it's been getting a lot of pub. And you got to like his. If you take both guys, what they're coming off of, both guys fought Pereira. Both guys got stopped. We last saw Jamal Hill against Parashka, took a lot of damage, had his moments. stopped. You got Roundtree. What's Roundtree's best victory? Anthony Smith? How much damage to Roundtree take against Pereira? He took a lot. When you watch Roundtree give interviews, it might be fun to say that people like a guy like Roundtree. I can see why people would cheer for him. He's like, he has that story you hear in MMA all the time. You don't hear the story in boxing. And give me a second to explain this. In MMA, because a lot of these martial arts are going to come from a traditional background, meaning that when you hear traditional martial arts, you think belt system. A martial art that you could climb the ladder, you get graded, you get better at, you have a sensei, you respect them, yes sir, no sir. That's MMA. That adheres to, you see a lot of these stories. A guy, walks into a gym, he was obese, did an MMA class, loses a lot of weight, fell in love with the game, found out he was athletic, found out he had skill. Before you know it, he's a professional fighter. You know what doesn't change though when you find out all those things? Is that mindset that started being brewed when you were younger, when you weren't a fighter, when you had to develop it. This is a positive thing MMA brings to the table. But when you get to the highest level, fighting world champions like Khalil Roundtree, we know psychologically sometimes he just shuts off. He speaks about it. And I'm not talking trash about people who struggle with mental health issues. All I'm saying is from a gambling perspective, when I'm thinking about betting on a fighter, I never bet on a guy who talks about, I was struggling with mental health issues. Specifically because in the cage, in the ring, you better be switched on. I'm not saying I don't cheer for them. I'm saying when I'm taking my hard-earned money, it's really hard for me to bet on that type of guy. Now, we know that MMA fighters, that's who Khalil was. Lived in Las Vegas, obese, was into anime. Nothing against any of that. Is a gamer, really cool dude, man. Makes his own clothes, travels the world, went from gym to gym, spent time in Thailand, learned how to kickbox at Tiger Muay Thai. I love all that. Boxing is not a traditional martial art. It is a martial art, but there's no belt system. There's no sensei. There's no bowing down to your coach. There's respect and admiration and revelry, but it's a different mindset. The boxing mindset, because of, from the youth on up, it's just a different thing. Boxers walk differently. They carry themselves differently. And I think because it's the lack of having to answer to a sensei. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or bad thing. Jamal Hill, super great athlete. People forget about this guy is a former world champion. He beat Glover Teixeira, and people are going to be saying Glover Teixeira was 43. Dude, Glover Teixeira at 43 was beating everybody, was a machine, became a world champion, stopping people. We know how brutal his offense was. We know he was a threat with his hands and his submissions. Teixeira, basically is the guy that kind of helped mold and, train and mentor Pereira. We know how, they linked up. They lived together, I think, in Connecticut. And Jamal Hill beat him to win the title. And Jamal Hill's super athletic. And, even when in his losses, I know a lot of people don't like him for, how he speaks out about certain things. But we're just talking about breaking down the fight. I think Jamal Hill stops Roundtree. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think, and if you don't want to pick a winner, I don't see that fight going the distance. 5-round fight, main event. I don't see that fight going the distance. But there's arguments to be made on the other side. Jamal Hill's, recent injury prone. Mentally with him, we've seen him blow up in between fights, put on a lot of weight. Recently in Fight Week, I heard Jamal Hill talking about he didn't want to fly to Azerbaijan. He didn't want to get on a plane. He was worried about the political, landscape currently, which I totally understand all that as well. So where's his head at? So if you're not a fan of either guy, which I'm not a fan of either guy. I'm a fan of the sport. You kind of just Chet Holmgren selling. Bro, we got to put you in the game, bro. Chet Holmgren selling right now. Chet Holmgren. Oh, God, dude. Chet Holmgren ruined a parlay once when I bet on him. Is he cooking? And rant. Hopefully I answered your questions, guys. 50 minutes into the live stream. I'm not really 100% sold. There's a couple of those, like Oban Elliott is going to win that fight. Okay, so yeah, Cook. So I do have a cheeky NBA parlay I'll share with you that I don't ever talk about. Okay, so what's the score right now? 70-44. God damn. They want that game 7. They want them views. This is what all the comments are going to be. They want them views. The script wanted a game 7. Small market teams. The NBA organization needed 7 to make up for the money. Viewership. Where are you? Is Benedict Mathurin not playing? Talk about a guy, Benny Mathurin, man. When he's on, you think to yourself, this guy, yeah. When Benedict Mathurin is on, you think to yourself, this guy could be the leading scorer for any team. Yep. But then when Benedict Mathurin's off, you saw what happened, I think, in game 4. He comes in with like 2 minutes left, close game, misses 4 free throws, 2 turnovers. It was insane. He had a complete meltdown at home. 6 minutes in the third quarter, I know. 70-44 is insane. So I had, on a parlay, I had Pascal Siakam to get 6+ rebounds. Pascal Siakam to score 20+ points. Miles Turner to score 10 points. And Jalen Williams to have 6 rebounds. So the only one that's looking suspect is Miles Turner. But we'll see. He could get it. Miles Turner loves that top of the key 3. You know, if he's open, you know, he'll rein that in. He killed us, man. I'm a Cleveland Cavs fan. That team, that Indy team killed us. And then, so who's cooking right now for Indy? Is it Halliburton? Because I'm not watching the game. I can put it on. Guys, so we're approaching an hour. Second live stream of the day. Any more questions on the fights? I will post a little UFC parlay. Oh, mate, that's great news. Don't sleep on Kelly. I love that fight. Bachram versus Josh Kelly. I love that fight. At 154, 160, is that at 160 or 154? I'm very confident in Conor Walker. I'm very confident in Conor Walker against Taylor. Are they talking Bachram to fight Josh at 54 or 60? I don't think you know the average boxing fan knows how talented Josh Kelly is. He's good, man. He could crack. He could move. You know, he's shown since that draw against Ray Robinson in New York, he's tightened up his defensive game. He did get stopped against Avaneshan, I get it. Dude, kudos to, if that's the truth, man, I think PBK's 30-31 now. About time he fights for a title. Will he beat Murtazaev? I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a better fight than people realize because Kelly does a lot of things in that ring that are nice, that a lot of fighters, Kelly is not going to fight Murtazaev like Tim Tszyu fought Murtazaev. That's all I'm going to say. In Bachram Murtazaev's perspective, if you were his handlers, you would lay out an entire career of potential opponents that fight like Tim Tszyu. 98 out of probably 99 times, Bachram wins that style matchup. Maybe 99 out of 99. He wins that matchup, the Tim Tszyu that style. But Josh Kelly's not that style. He'll move and he'll hit you. He'll tap you. He'll show you a lot of looks. You see, he's a reflex fighter. Does a lot of things. He'll fight you in the pocket. He'll exchange with you. Fight you at range. Piece you up. You know, it's fair to say every time you fight a guy like Kelly, you know, you're probably going to say you haven't fought a guy like Kelly before until you fight him. Now, David Avaneshan, even though that fight was a few years ago, kind of gave the blueprint. Volume Kelly. Exchange with him early. Make Kelly fight off of his back foot. Pressure him. Break the body down and make him quit. That would be the narrative. But if that fight goes official, that's going to be a fun one for us to break down. And then let's see. We got the first. All right, we got fights tomorrow morning, guys. I'm going to upload one more video. I'm going to go live tomorrow morning. We have no fights today. Whoever has money on this NBA game, I wish you good luck. Whoever followed my lead on the BNJ fight Sasaki and won, you're welcome. Whoever listened to me on Christian Aranaki, my bad. Turn the page. We're on a 1-fight winning streak. Guys, let me know also if you want me in the comment section below to kind of break down